Story 1. I am a huge fan of science fiction and still enjoy the old Star Trek episodes with painted foam rocks and cardboard sets. So it's not the low production values, but I've never been able to get into Doctor Who. I wanted to, for goodness sake, but it just didn't do it for me. Story 2. Honestly, The Office. I get why people love it, but the awkward humor and slow start just didn't click with me. I've tried a few times, but I couldn't get into it. Story 3. The Big Bang Theory. How it lasted more than one season just blows my mind every time. I would rather watch every episode of the Geico Cavemen sitcom while punching myself in the groin than watch the opening intro. Story 4. Grey's Anatomy. How many hospital disasters and love triangles can one place handle? At this point, I'm more invested in keeping my sanity than theirs. Story 5. How I Met Your Mother. I just can't deal with the laugh track. I also do not find it funny in any way. It was by far the most liked television show during senior year in high school. We even had printed t-shirts with that legend guy. Story 6. I love cooking. I love sarcasm and quick wit. So everyone in my circle has recommended The Bear. I've watched 2 episodes and it's fine, but I don't see what the fuss is about. I'm not really compelled to keep watching. I do at least like that the episodes are short, though. Story 7. I have 2. Schitt's Creek is a cast full of unlikable characters doing gratingly unfunny things. I love Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, but I do not love that show. White Lotus is nowhere close to as clever or socially aware as it thinks, and holy moly are the characters loathsome. I get that you're not supposed to like them, but for a show that thinks it's making this wise comment about whiteness and social privilege to do so by entirely centering its lily-white cast seems to be pretty hypocritical. On top of that, it's staggeringly boring. Story 8. The Walking Dead. I watched the first season, which people seem to unanimously agree is the best season. I thought it was pretty bad. The pilot was good, but even at the end, with the conversation of don't use your gun if you don't have to, it'll attract more walkers. Rick just walks out of the police station and shoots a zombie behind a chain link fence. After that, it's only downhill. The majority of the actors in season 1 are awful, and the writing wasn't there. I didn't see any reason to continue. Then season 2 started, and everyone said it was boring. Story 9. There have been several for me over recent years, most of which have already been mentioned. So, 2 that I haven't seen on here yet: Stranger Things and Bridgerton. Story 10. The Boys, not a single likable person in the cast you can root for. They are all terrible people. See also Orange is the New Black. The Bear. I worked in restaurants, so I get it, but the show is just people yelling at each other for the entire runtime, even in the quiet scenes. See also It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. For people just yelling their lines for 30 minutes. Story 11. Big Bang Theory or 2.5 Men. Maybe it's the laugh track, but I despise watching it, especially Big Bang Theory. The jokes are predictable and unfunny. Story 12. Bridgerton. I tried to watch the first episode twice, and I couldn't finish it. Maybe it's because, after watching Outlander, it's hard for me to like a period drama in the same way. Story 13. Love is Blind. I've given it 3 seasons now at the pressure of friends, and it's so predictable, boring, and never lives up to the online hype. Plus, it's hard to get genuine people on any reality show anymore. Everyone is going there for fame. Story 14. Big Bang Theory. My dad would rave about how funny it was. I think mostly it was a superiority complex rooted from childhood, always being the jock type in the 1960s. Anyways, he still genuinely loved it, so it seemed. Just couldn't get into it. Story 15. The Big Bang Theory. I really tried to like it, but I just can't stomach Chuck Lorre shows, and this one in particular really irritated me because of how much I disliked it. Story 16. The Sopranos. I'll admit I just give zero care about the whole mafia thing. I just didn't like any of the characters. I'm supposed to be all upset that a philandering criminal scumbag is having some panic attacks? Oh gosh, maybe stop being a parasite on human society and things will get better. Story 17. Parks and Recreation. Just get through the first season and then it gets really good. I'm not going to do that. Even seeing clips from later seasons, I do not get the appeal. Story 18. Stranger Things. I tried to watch it with my family and stopped caring when it was just episodes upon episodes of Winona Ryder trying to get people to care that her son was missing. My family kept watching without me. I caught an episode about 3 seasons later, and it was still the same situation. Like literally nothing seemingly happened in 3 entire seasons. It made me glad I didn't waste those hours watching it. Story 19, The Office. Let the downvotes reign, but I watched the first season and didn't like it. It takes a few seasons and gets really good. Like, why would I spend hours of my life when there are other shows good right out of the box? Story 20, The Office. I watched 5 seasons hoping something better would come. It's just new boring stuff. Yes, some pranks or scenes are hilarious, but I wouldn't binge watch it. Story 21. If you think the American version is awkward, stay away from the original British version. You know that tendency in some British humor to just never let the joke resolve? It makes my skin crawl. I like some dry humor. But my God. Story 22. Currently watching Dexter. And by currently watching, I mean trying to stomach 1 episode a week. Everyone talked about how it falls off and how bad the last few seasons and ending are, but I'm trying to figure out when it was ever good. Feels like a cosmic joke to listen to people talk about this show. I'm on season 5, I think, now, and I just don't want to watch it at all. Unfortunately, I have a compulsive need to finish shows that I start. Story 23, The Sopranos. Every single character on the show is despicable, and I was happy they all got killed. Plus, I hate when shows try to force kid storylines in when they're not needed, and The Sopranos is one of the worst offenders. Story 24. I found it was a slow starter and that it wasn't good through the first season. I asked a buddy of mine at the time who loved it, and I was like, Zach, when does this get good? He was like, season 5. I dipped after that, didn't even start season 2. And my mom and sister are both chemists, so I figured this would be enjoyable, but alas, we did get to play with chemicals at home sometimes, so that was cool. Story 25. American Idol or any of those singing shows. I enjoy music, but never understood how so many shows could come out of watching people sing and get rated on how well they sang. Story 26. Friends. I don't understand why everyone loves this show. I saw it for the first time in 2002. My college friends watched it on television. I tried, but it wasn't funny. Maybe because I was a lone wolf who wasn't interested in romantic subjects. I thought I was a clever guy who liked to watch art house movies, but television series were a low genre. A lot has changed since that time. My wife loves Friends. She can watch it twice a year, but somewhere deep inside, there's still a particle of my old self, and I still don't like this series. Story 27. Breaking Bad didn't live up to the hype for me. My friends were freaking insane. It was good, but not top-tier best television that has ever existed just by mentioning it. Slow your roll, fellas. Story 28. My biggest one that is probably shocking is The Wire. I've watched the first season 3 times now and really like it, but the second season throws me off so much. I've heard that's part of what makes it great, and every season is sort of its own world or viewpoint. I'm sure I'll get through it at some point, but it's been weird. Story 29. The Wire. I know it is supposed to be one of the best shows of all time, but I have bounced off the first episode twice now and feel no desire to try it again. Story 30. I have never understood why people go crazy over Downton Abbey. It bores the heck out of me, and whenever anything exciting happens, its fans just moan about it. Story 31. Okay, this is a current one, but tell me lies. I've heard a handful of people rave about it, so I gave it a try. I finished episode 3 and gave up. It's just like college drama. I don't understand the hype at all. Story 32. I just can't get into shows where there are few, if any, redeeming characters and people consistently make bad choices. Story 33. IT Crowd. I always found it an inferior, cut-rate black books, which gave us some warning shots into Graham Linehan's views and started to show his limitations without the likes of Arthur Matthews and Dylan Moran contributing. People have a real problem with me not thinking it's very good. They're fine with criticism of The Big Bang Theory for almost the same reason, but IT Crowd is apparently sacred. Story 34. There are shows like Breaking Bad or The Sopranos where I don't care for them, but I understand why other people hold them in such high regard. But Friends is a show where I just don't understand its appeal at all. Story 35, House and Grey's Anatomy. Longtime healthcare professional and couldn't relate. House does fetal surgery. I'm out. Some resident doing a stem cell infusion in the emergency department. I'm out. So damn unrealistic. Story 36. I watched season 1 and part of season 2, and I found it depressing. I'm not saying it isn't good or that the people who loved it are wrong. It just wasn't for me. At least not at the time. Story 37. Basically anything that would be classified as prestige TV, like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and The Sopranos. I watch TV to have fun and escape from the horrors of reality, not to watch people being sad and angry for hours. Story 38. Key and Peele. I tried and tried and tried. Sure, they have a couple of good sketches, but everything is so forced. It's like the show version of a stand-up comic telling the punchline, laughing at it himself, and looking around the room to make sure everyone else is laughing. Story 39. Severance. Tried my best, watched the first half of season 1. It just never grabbed my interest. I didn't care about the people, so this whole forgetting trope, fun as it is, didn't seem to matter. Story 40. Lost. I can't believe that is not the top response. That show was garbage. Confusing for the sake of being confusing and never delivered anything. I gave up 3 episodes in, and from what I've heard, it never got any better. Story 41. It's supposed to be one of the funniest shows, but I never got the jokes, I guess. I watched 2 seasons and maybe smiled a little once. The scene where their father put half of his sneaker on his head as a Jewish hat. Story 42. Pretty much every show after the advent of streaming, if one did hook me in season 1, it would either get cancelled or decrease in quality if it were picked up for a second season. That, or it would be interesting but never resolve any plot threads and consistently introduce new ones. When the show would end, it would be incredibly dissatisfying. Once I recognized this pattern, I gave up on television shows pretty much entirely. Story 43. Game of Thrones. Clearly, the love was for the nudity, and everyone could be killed next. Otherwise, the show is extremely boring. My favorite was the episode in darkness where literally nothing happened, even if you could see anything. Story 44. I watched the first season of The Expanse and liked it. Then some time passed and I tried watching season 2. I spent the whole first episode going, wait, who are these people? What do they want? Why are they fighting those other people? Where is this supposed to be? And gave up. Story 45. Dexter. I don't know if I coincidentally watched it at the wrong times, but I tried 3 different instances to watch it and fell asleep in the middle of episode 1 each time. Story 46. Of course, I was rather exuberant over season 8. My cousin sneaked me into Conan the Barbarian when I was about 8. I was part of the core audience for Game of Thrones, but it never hooked me. Story 47. I know this will bring on an onslaught, but I really tried to get into Breaking Bad and I just couldn't. I was falling asleep every episode, not engaged with the show. Story 48. I never understood the appeal of the Kardashians and never will. Also, America's Got Talent, and The Bachelorette, and Survivor. Well, just about any reality TV show, really. Story 49, Seinfeld, Friends, Big Bang Theory, Everyone Loves Raymond, Malcolm in the Middle, and that whole style of TV is or was terrible. They are all based on the practice of treating people close to you poorly. But it's okay because it's not your fault or wrong because life is hard and you love them. Mind you, none of the characters have bad or hard lives. Story 50. Breaking Bad. I didn't think it was a bad show, but I didn't understand the love and hype behind it. I tried forcing it and just stopped halfway through the final season. Story 51. The entire show is one joke. The exact same joke over and over again. Isn't this awkward? Then smugly looking at the camera. So stupid. Story 52. Lost Cause. I actually love stranded on island tropes, but I knew it wasn't about survival. It had religious elements, mystery, and too many love triangles. I don't like any of it. My sister loves it so much she watches it repeatedly. Maybe that's why I dislike it even without watching a full episode. Story 53. I could just never get into The Sopranos. I acknowledge it's a great show. I just never got hooked. But I hate Grey's Anatomy. Loathe. I get a lot of short clips from it on my feed for some reason. I never hit like. They just keep coming. Luckily, they're almost all the medical parts, which are okay. But once it focuses on any character except Miranda, and maybe Callie, I'm out. Story 54. Alcatraz. I watched a few episodes, and each episode felt the same. 57 minutes of focusing on one specific inmate and 3 minutes of a glimpse at the end of some hidden plot. Story 55. I cannot understand how anyone enjoyed The Walking Dead. It is so astonishingly boring. I do not know how a show about surviving the zombie apocalypse never created any real tension. Story 56. The Office. It has good individual scenes that make for good memes, but the show as a whole has many unfunny and awkward moments between the good parts. You can ignore 90% of the show and just watch the clips. Story 57. I watched almost the entire first season, and I just don't get it. It was okay, but it never grabbed me even a little bit, not like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad grabbed me from the first episode. Story 58. Anything Hell's Kitchen or The Walking Dead. Not saying that those are not entertaining shows and nothing against those who enjoy them. Also, my wife has gone back and rewatched Lost, and I still have zero interest in ever watching. I prefer watching movies and history-related shows, though not the History Channel. Story 59. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. My kids love it. My son showed me a scene where Danny DeVito's character is basically reenacting the music video for Prodigy's Smack My Bitch Up. I enjoyed that and then found a YouTube clip of Kurt Loder warning the TV audience before the video. Wait, MTV aired this? I can see why you want music videos to make a comeback. Haha,